Hello everyone, I welcome you all to another session of DSEJ Teleclasses, a digital initiative by Directorate of School Education Jammu. I'm Kamini Batania, working as a teacher at Government Higher Secondary School SLAD. Our today's session is for the students of class 10th and the subject is English. Our today's topic is prose. Today we are going to conduct our third session for the chapter Ghat of the Only World. This essay is written by Amitabh Ghosh. Our today's session, that is the third and the final session for the chapter Ghat of the Only World, consists of page number 70 and 71 of the textbook. So before we start our today's session, let's recall what we did in session 1 and session 2. Ghat of the Only World is written by Amitabh Ghosh. It talks about friendship and the fulfillment of the promise made in it. It is a tribute to Agha Shahid Ali, the Kashmiri poet, who made the author promise that he will write about him after his death. He made Ghosh promise him before he succumbed to a deadly brain tumor. The author with this story in this book is seen to fulfill his promise that he once made to a friend who is no longer alive. The story of Ghat of the Only World focuses on the life, liking and disliking and the lifestyle of the Kashmiri poet Agha Shahid Ali. To go through this story is like taking a sneak peek into the celebration of his life, including the period when he got diagnosed with the tumor. Shahid's unconditional love for Kashmir has been reflected in every sentence of the story. Through this story, we get to know about the Kashmiri poet's interest in music, art, literature, food, and many similar things. Even though Shahid and Ghosh's friendship was for a brief period, the former still left an indelible mark on the latter's mind and heart. There are many aspects of Shahid that we come to know through this story. He was a food lover, and even during the last stage of the brain tumor, he used to enjoy his food a lot and also talked about it. Further, he never took his illness seriously and never accepted to be defeated by cancer either. To his last day, he was a man full of life. The friendship of the author Amitabh Ghosh and the Kashmiri poet was not a friendship whose seeds were sown in childhood, but the mark they left on each other's life was truly remarkable. The author kept his promise that he made to his dear friend whom he met for a very short span of time. With his writing skills, he was able to draw a beautiful picture of Shahid's life and help the readers understand the bittersweet memories that the poet had. Let's read the text further. Children, open your books on page number 70 and be ready with your pencils to mark the new words. Let's read. Shahid's case was not political in the sense of being framed in terms of policy and solutions. In the broadest sense, his vision tended always towards the inclusive and ecumenical, an outlook that he credited to his upbringing. He spoke often of a time in his childhood when he had been seized by the desire to create a small Hindu temple in his room in Srinagar. Underline the word ecumenical. He was initially hesitant to tell his parents, but when he did, they responded with an enthusiasm equal to his own. His mother bought him murtis and other accoutrements, and for a while he was assiduous in conducting pujas at this shrine. This was a favorite story. Whenever people talked to me about Muslim fanaticism, he said to me once, I tell them how my mother helped me make a temple in my room. Underline the word accoutrements, assiduous, fanaticism. The word ecumenical means involving or uniting members of different religions. The word accoutrements means other things that were needed for the activity. The word assiduous means taking great care that everything is done as well as it can be. The word fanaticism means the quality of being fanatical, extremism. In these paragraphs, the author, Amitabh Ghosh, says that Shahid always believed in uniting human beings irrespective of their religion, which is why his vision is said to be not political, because he did not like their solutions to the prevailing problems. He thinks it is because of his upbringing, because his family motivated him to let him have a temple in their room in Srinagar. Although a Muslim house, his mom helped him with the idols of Hindu gods and goddesses while he enchanted Hindi prayers. He very happily told his to everyone who got extreme when it came to being a Muslim. Let's read further. I once remarked to Shahid that he was the closest that Kashmir had to a national poet. He shot back, a national poet may be, but not a nationalist poet. Please, not that. Underline the word nationalist. The word nationalist means a person who strongly identifies with their own nation and vigorously supports its interests, especially to the exclusion or detriment of the interests of other nations. In this paragraph, the author once mentioned to Shahid that he was as close to being a poet renowned at the national level, to which Shahid immediately replied and corrected that he might be a national poet that Kashmir has, but not a nationalist poet, someone who strongly identifies with their own nation and vigorously supports its interests, especially to the exclusion or detriment of the interests of other nations. Let's read further. In the title poem of The Country Without a Post Office, a poet returns to Kashmir to find the keeper of a fallen minaret. Nothing will remain, everything finished. I see his voice again. This is a shrine of words. You will find your letters to me and mine to you. Come, son, and tear open these vanished envelopes. This is an archive. I have found the remains of his voice, that map of longings with no limit. Underline the word minaret. The word minaret means a slender tower, typically part of a mosque with a balcony from which a muezzin calls Muslim to prayer. Let's read further. In this figuring of his homeland, he himself became one of the images that were spinning around the dark point of stillness. Both Shahid and Shahid witness and martyr his destiny inextricably linked with Kashmir's, each prefigured by the other. Underline the word inextricably. Underline the word prefigured. The word inextricably means in a way that is impossible to separate. The word prefigured means be an early indication or version of something. In this paragraph, the author says that figuring out about his homeland having been so much destruction and sadness, he was almost at a point of stillness in his thoughts, where various images were spinning in his mind. Shahid had given himself two roles: Shahid, the witness of problematic Kashmir, and Shahid, the martyr who would do anything for his beloved Kashmir. It was in his destiny that he was not able to separate the two emotions, and it was an indication that it meant something that he was still trying to work on. Let's read further. I will die in autumn in Kashmir, and the shadowed routine of each vein will almost be news, the blood censored, for the saffron sun and the times of rain. In this paragraph, the poet Shahid wrote how death would come to him in the state of Kashmir and in the season of autumn. The routine working of his body or the pumping of blood in the veins would no longer be there. It would come to him under the shining sun and while it's raining. Let's read further. Among my notes is a record of a telephone conversation on 5th of May, the day before he had gone to the hospital for an important test, a scan that was expected to reveal whether or not the course of chemotherapy that he was then undergoing had the desired effect. All other alternative therapies and courses of treatment had been put off until this report. In this paragraph, the author says that on 5th day of May, when they had a telephonic conversation, the details of which have been recorded in his notes, it was the day when Shahid went to the hospital for a scan that would reveal whether his chemotherapy sessions had been successful or not. Till date, all previous treatments failed to have an effect. So all alternative therapies and treatments had been stopped. Let's read further. The scan was scheduled for 2:30 in the afternoon. I called his number several times in the late afternoon and early evening. There was no response. I called again the next morning, and this time he answered. There was no preambles. He said, "Listen, Amitabh, the news is not good at all." Underline the word preambles. The word preambles means a preliminary or preparatory statement, an introduction. Basically, they are going to stop all my medicines now, the chemotherapy and so on. They give me a year or less. They would suspected that I was not responding well because of the way I look. They will give me some radiation a little later, but they said there was not much hope. In this paragraph, the author tried calling Shahid after his scan that was scheduled for 2:30 in the afternoon, but Shahid did not respond, and it was only the next day when Shahid picked up the call. Upon picking up the phone, without any formalities, Shahid immediately told Amitabh that none of it has worked and he has very less time left now, maybe a year or even lesser. He added that the doctors feared that he was not responding to the treatment because of his looks. Shahid said this to create humor and did not really mean it. The doctors had prescribed some radiation, but there are very few chances of it to be successful too. Let's read further. Dazed, staring blankly at my desk, I said, "What will you do now, Shahid? I would like to go back to Kashmir to die." His voice was quiet and untroubled. "Now I have to get my passport, settle my will and all that. I don't want to leave a mess for my siblings. But after that, I would like to go to Kashmir. It's still such a feudal system there, and there will be so much support, and my father is there too. Anyway, I don't want my siblings to have to make the journey afterwards like we had to with my mother. Underline feudal system. Feudal system means a peasant or worker received a piece of land and in return for serving a lord or king. In this paragraph, the author says that Shahid was unable to think or react properly. The author asked Shahid about his plans, to which Shahid replied that he wants to take his last breath in Kashmir close to his family. Although it is still a mess there, he wished to get his passport and prepare his will to make it easier for his siblings so that they don't have to travel for this once he is gone. Children, now come to page number 71 of your textbook. For this page, read the text on your own. Make sure that you underline the new words and find their meaning with the help of a dictionary. For this session, we will discuss the summary of the text on page number 71. So let's start. Though he had to cancel his plans for Kashmir because of lack of orchestration, he was fine with being laid to rest in Northampton, in the vicinity of Amherst, a town sacred to the memory of his beloved Emily Dickinson. The author somehow suspected that Shahid was always inclined towards taking his last breath in Kashmir as he had been portraying in his poetries. He had portrayed Shahid and Shahid in an inseparable manner, which the author compared with photographs that had been distorted because of rain. The author met him on October 27 for the last time in Amherst. It was his brother's house. He was talking at irregular intervals, and at some point the author felt they were talking as if it were the old times. He had finally made peace with his nearing end. Thus he had this calm look. He aspired to see his mother if the concept of afterlife was true. His death came to him in his sleep at 2 a.m. on the 8th day of December that year. Children, now let's shift our focus from the text to the language work and do a short exercise to practice language. Children, in your textbook, there is an exercise that needs you to choose the correct British spellings of the following words. Some of the words we have discussed here, and rest of the words you need to do at your home as your homework. So let's start. The first word is quizzical. Children, listen to the pronunciation of the word very carefully. That will help you to guess the correct spelling of the word. So the first word is quizzical. So can you guess the correct spelling of the word quizzical? Quizzical. Quizzical. Then we have the word savior. Savior. Yes, the correct spelling is S-A-V-I-O-U-R. Then we have the word innocuous. Innocuous. Yes, the correct spelling is I-N-N-O-C-U-O-U-S. Innocuous. Then we have the word jocularity. Be careful. Listen to the pronunciation very carefully. Jocularity. The correct spelling is J-O-C-U-L-A-R-I-T-Y. Jocularity. Then we have the word assurance. Yes, the correct spelling is A-S-S-U-R-A-N-C-E. Assurance. Next we have the word multitude. Multitude. The correct spelling of multitude is M-U-L-T-I-T-U-D-E. Multitude. Then we have the word encyclopedia. See the pronunciation? Encyclopedia. Yes. The correct spelling is E-N-C-Y-C-L-O-P-E-D-I-A. Encyclopedia. Then we have the word emperor. Emperor. Yes, the correct spelling is E-M-P-E-R-O-R. Then we have an easy word, accident. The spelling of accident. I hope you all can guess the correct spelling. Yes, A-C-C-I-D-E-N-T. Accident. Then we have the word conceive. The correct spelling of the word conceive is C-O-N-C-E-I-V-E. The correct spelling is C-O-N-C-E-I-V-E. Conceive. Children, there are some more words given in your textbook. Please try to find the correct spelling of those words at home. If you feel, you can even take help of a dictionary. Children, I hope you enjoyed today's session a lot. Till we meet next, take great care of yourself. Thank you.